Want to attend the legendary Thrivetime Show Business Workshop for free? Subscribe on iTunes, leave an objective review, and send us confirmation at info@thrivetimeshow.com to claim your tickets. Want to live in a van down by the river? Come by and see us at our Riverwalk offices, and we'll be able to make your dreams come true.
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the podcast edition, the radio broadcast edition of the Thrivetime Business Coach Program, where we teach you specifically the super moves that you can use to grow a successful company. Dr. Zellner and I have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses, working on number 14 and 15 right now, and I can tell you this, that the most important asset that you have as a human, I want to put this on the show notes because this is a powerful thought. The most important asset that you have as a human is your time. Because you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. We got that? Everybody on the same page? We got that?
That's kind of profound.
Okay. Now, the most important asset for your business, those people walk out of your business every day. Check it out. The most important assets that your business has, they walk out of the business every day. And you hope they come back. The most important assets that your company has, the part that the competition can't beat, is your culture and your people.
Herb Keller of Southwest Airlines says it's like a spiritual infusion within a business. They can buy your planes, they can buy the same marketing materials, they can even go hire, similar employees, but they can't take the culture that the people create.
Right. So this is the thing. If you want to keep high quality people, these are the steps for keeping high-quality people. And I'm going to go fast because there's a lot of them that you need to jot down, okay? So here we go. We have move number 1. You have to have an organizational chart.
Got to have it.
People need to know where they fit in to the organization. Now, as you're starting a business, it becomes less important when you're starting because you just need to sell something. And Greg, you need to sell something and do accounting and install the product. But as you get beyond,
I'll be over here cleaning the toilets.
as you get beyond, I'd say 5 employees, you have to have an organizational chart. And your business coach can help you create one. The next is you have to have clear expectations. People just have to know what they need to do. And a lot of times people can say, well, so I need to hire someone to write job descriptions. No, because you need to have a culture where people will do whatever it takes to get it done. But you do need to be clear about what they need to get done. So you can't assign action items via email in a vague way and then be violently frustrated when people do not execute. Chuck, you probably see it all the time coaching clients where somebody will assign homework for their team in a very vague way and then express great frustration that the person was not able to knock out the task.
Or to very vague who it is. They'll say, you guys get this done, or Bobby and Rachel get this done, or we're going to have the team work on this, and then nobody does it.
Now, the next move is you have to provide weekly scheduled ongoing training and mentorship. Marshall, why do you have to have weekly ongoing training to run a successful company and to keep great people?
Because you have to commit to the growth mindset, constantly improving, this constant creation of redundancy within the business. You got to schedule this because otherwise it just doesn't happen. Something more pressing will come up.
Embrace the process. The word Kaizen means continual improvement. You've got to do it. The next move is you got to provide merit-based pay. Chup, if people don't make more, if they work more, they're not going to be motivated to do it long-term. So what you have to do is constantly identify ways that you can provide people with bonuses, carrots, things to strive for in order to grow the business.
You want those metrics to be tied to what helps the business grow, right? So like Marshall was saying in another episode, if you're a salesperson, how many calls did you make? Like that's a metric that we can use to measure to see how we're going to grow.
Now you have to fire idiots. The next move. If you want to keep great people, you have to fire the idiots. Marshall, why do you have to fire the idiots?
Great people don't want to work with idiots. Fire them. Get them out. It's that
easy.
Simple. It's just fire them. So great culture will drive great numbers. Great numbers do not drive great culture.
That's why I hate starting a business so much and why it's so hard. Is because the good employee, the great employee who's thinking about coming to work for you, they say, how many people work for you? And then you say, it's just me. And then they have to be a little crazy to say yes. So typically you end up surrounding yourself with a bunch of morons when you start a business because the only people crazy enough to come start the business with you are typically crazy. They have like nothing to lose. Right. Now, as you grow the business, you'll start to attract more and more emotionally and mentally stable people. Harvey Mackey, the best-selling author, the renowned sales trainer, he says, employee loyalty begins with employer loyalty. Your employees should not know, or your employees should know that if they do the job they were hired to do with a reasonable amount of competence and efficiency, you will support them. Another example would be if you read the book called The Service Profit Chain. They found that happy employees, it turns out, Marshall, tend to deliver great service, and upset employees tend to deliver bad service. Marshall, think about that. Happy employees deliver great service. What?
This is nothing groundbreaking, but it is profound.
Because a lot of people have like negative employees running around, and they're wondering why their people don't deliver good service.
Because you're not firing the idiots, okay?
Oh.
And so when Guy Kawasaki of Apple Computer, he says, A players only want to work with A players, but B players want to work with C players, and C players want to work with D players, and D players all the way on down to Z players. Pretty soon you got this big bozo explosion happening in your business.
So what you have to do if you're going to grow a successful business is you have to retain great people. And nobody who has a sound mind, no one who's a great person will work for somebody who's incompetent. So it's not about employer bashing, but if you're incompetent, people are not going to stick around. So I'm going to read off Napoleon Hill's 11 attributes of a successful leader. As I read off each one, Eric Chupp will serve as our color commentator to break down what this means in terms of real application. So attribute number 1 that every leader has to have if you want to keep great people is you must have unwavering courage based upon knowledge of oneself and of your occupation. No intelligent follower will be dominated by such a work with me. No intelligent follower will be dominated by an incompetent person very long. Chup, break it down.
If you got to have the courage to lead yourself in the right way, right, before anybody's going to follow you. So you got to be able to lead yourself and make the right choices and be courageous as far as that goes.
Attribute number 2, self-control. The man who can't control himself can never control others. Self-control sets a mighty example for one's followers, which the more intelligent people will emulate. Chup.
I mean, come on. How much breakdown does that need? Really? Like self-control. If you can't control yourself, you're not going to be able to control your schedule. You're not going to be
anybody else. When I think about you, I touch yourself. Oh, I touch yourself. No one wants to work for Mr. Feels a lot.
If it's your anger or you're a glutton or whatever,
dude,
if you can't control yourself.
I'm serious, though. I've seen this at least in my personal coaching clients I've worked with in the past 5 years. I've seen in-office affairs destroy no fewer than a dozen marriages and companies.
Right. It's straight ticket to the poorhouse right there.
Have you ever worked with a creeper who touches everybody? Have you seen it?
Not bad, but I mean, yeah, there's some people.
I've seen it. It's bad.
No, yeah, I have. I'm not going to name names.
But I'm saying when they're meeting with, they say, "Hey, young lady employee, do you want to meet at the bar afterward?"
Right.
That does not work. Right. Attribute number 3, Marshall, a keen sense of justice. Without a sense of fairness and justice, no leader can command and retain the respect of his followers.
You got to hold people accountable, and you got to hold them accountable fairly, because if you are an unjust and unfair leader, then nobody wants to follow that person.
Attribute number 5, definiteness of decision. The man who wavers in his decisions shows that he is not sure of himself and he can't lead others successfully. Attribute number 5, you got to have definiteness of plans. You see, successful leaders make the plan and then work the plan, right? Attribute number 6, you got to do more than paid for. One of the penalties of leadership is the necessity, Chup, of the willingness upon the leader to do more than he requires of his followers.
This is like a moral authority, right? Like people, when they see that you're the business owner, you're the leader, that you're working hard, that you're getting stuff done, they're just naturally going to want to fall into that.
Attribute number 7, a pleasing personality. No slovenly, negative, careless person can become a successful leader. Attribute number 8. Sympathy and understanding. The successful leader must be in sympathy with his followers. Moreover, he must understand them and their problems. Attribute number 9, mastery of detail. Successful leadership calls for the mastery of the details of one's position. Attribute number 10, Willingness to assume the full responsibility, Marshall. The successful leader must be willing to assume responsibility for the mistakes and shortcomings of his followers, Marshall. What does that mean?
You got to be able to take all of the successes, give it to the individuals that created in your business, and you have to take responsibility for the shortcomings.
And the final attribute is cooperation. The successful leader must understand and apply the principle of cooperative effort and be able to induce his followers to do the same. Leadership calls for power. Leadership calls for power, and power calls for cooperation. Think about that. You have to get your team to cooperate with you, and that's how you keep quality people.